Hi, my name is Kathy and welcome to my channel. I live in Melbourne, Australia, and this is where I talk about the things that I'm passionate about, and my latest passion is plants. In this video, I want to give you some tips and advice if you're considering bringing plants home for the first time or you've just started on your plant journey. Tips which I wish I'd been given when I first started my journey around a year ago. So stick around. So let me preface this by saying that I am by no means an expert. I have only had plants in my home for the last year or so, not including the one that survived despite me for the last 5 years. And it's a constant learning process. It's not something that you immediately know how to do. I don't think anyone is born with a green thumb as such. I think a lot of it is trial and error. I'm actually in a wheelchair scooter, and if I can look after plants, then I think anyone can look after plants. Okay, so you have decided to green up your space, bring a bit of nature indoors. Who can blame you? A lot of us are living under lockdown conditions. We're not really getting to spend a lot of time outdoors. It's a great idea. Personally, I find having plants really rewarding. Watching them grow, nurturing them, it's a great feeling, and it helps me feel connected to nature. So where do you begin? First and foremost, I think it's important to think about what kind of plant owner you want to be. Are you going to be someone who wants to spend a lot of time with your plants, or do you really just want to green up a bit of your space and not have to worry too much about it? Because that will determine what kind of plants you should bring into your home. The next thing that you need to do is research. Research is critical. If you want to ensure that your plants will thrive in your home, then you need to research each plant that you're looking to buy. Now, don't get me wrong, I've done it too. You go to a nursery or Bunnings or something, you see this gorgeous plant and you think, oh, I just want it, I've got to take it home, it's got to come home with me. But you need to ensure that you know what that plant needs to survive and thrive in your home. And the only way you can do that is with research. So you can always get out your phone, even at the nursery, and do a Google search and find out a little bit more about the plant, like where it came from, which will give you a really good indication as to what kind of conditions it will thrive in. And then you can make a decision as to whether it's suited for you to bring it home. When you're at the nursery and you're looking to buy this plant, have a look at it. And I mean, have a really thorough look over the plant. See if there's anything crawling on it like pests, which I will deal with later. Because if there is, don't touch it. If it's not doing well, if it's got a lot of dead leaves, then don't take that. Look for a plant that is in better condition, that looks happy and healthy. Another tip is don't go from 1 to 50 in a month. Give yourself time to enjoy each individual plant, because they all have something to give us and they're all so beautiful in their own way. And you can really overwhelm yourself if you bring far too many plants too quickly into your home, because plants take time. It's not like a fake plant that you can stick in a corner and just dust every now and again. This is something living that needs you to look after it. And the more plants you have, the more care you need to be able to provide them. It's better to just take it slow. Take your time to appreciate each individual plant. And then when you see another one and you feel that you're ready to bring another one home, then bring one home. The next thing to consider is the lighting in your home. And if you've done any reading, you'll see lots of terms like indirect, direct light, medium light, bright light, low light. There is an excellent video on lighting by another Australian whose YouTube channel is called Ants in My Plants. Always makes me laugh when I think of that. I just love that title, and I'll link her video in the description below if you'd like to have a look, because she does cover a lot of the aspects of light. But generally speaking, if you have north-facing windows like I do behind me, and don't forget I'm in Australia, not in the Northern Hemisphere, but if you have north-facing windows, then that is the best light that you can provide your plants with, and they will thrive. So you have a bit more choice as to what kind of plants you can bring home. If it is a plant that requires bright light, then it needs to go close to a window. If your plant can live in low light, That means you can put it somewhere where it's a bit darker. However, please note, there is no such thing as plants for no light. Plants cannot survive in no light. Low light basically means that you can read a book. I'm not talking about on your mobile, which is lit, or a tablet. I'm talking about one of these, one of these old-fashioned books or magazines. If you're able to read that in the place where you want to put your plant, then your plant can live there. It may not thrive, but it will live there. Now, the next important tip I can give you is regarding watering. Obviously, all plants need water. They can't survive without it. Some can live for a long time without water, but most plants require consistent watering. So how do you decide when your plants need watering? It can be really difficult to determine at times. I was initially told to stick my finger down in the soil, about an inch or two, and see if it was dry, and then I'd know whether to water. I found that didn't work for me. Sometimes I'd put my finger in the soil and I thought it was wet, and in fact it was cold. I started using barbecue skewers, the ones that you buy at the supermarket. I would stick it into the soil, and if it came away wet, then I knew it didn't need a water. I would also use the skewer in the drainage holes underneath the pot to see if it was wet down the bottom, because sometimes the pots can be really big and the skewer won't go all the way down. I also used a chopstick for a while, and then I bought one of these. And then I bought one of these. This was a game changer. It's a moisture meter. There is a scale between 1 and 10, and how you use it is very, very straightforward. You stick it into the soil, it will give you a reading. It will tell you if the soil is dry, moist or wet, and then you can make a decision as to whether your plant needs watering or not. I would also suggest that you take at least 2 or 3 readings around the pot, because sometimes you can find the pot might be wet on one side, but it might be dry on another. And I take an average reading and then determine if I need to water my plant or not. But this is something I wish somebody had told me when I first started, because it would have made my life a hell of a lot easier, and it will make your life easier. But you don't have to buy one of these. They're not very expensive. They're only about $10. It was the best $10 I ever spent on my plants, that's for sure. But you don't have to use a moisture meter. You can use a skewer, you can use a chopstick, you can use anything that works for you. But if you are struggling trying to decide if your plants need watering or not, this will definitely help. As to what to use to water your plants, you can use anything. You can use a glass, a jug, an old milk carton, or you can get a watering can. As for me, I like the watering cans with a narrow spout. That way I can direct exactly where I want to water. And when you do water, water right around the pot. Don't just water in one place. Try to ensure that you get an equal distribution of water right around the pot. The biggest killer of plants is overwatering, surprisingly enough. I always thought it would be underwatering. Also, be aware that whilst a plant might need more water in the warmer months or when it's growing, in winter you should really back off on watering. Whatever plant you have will not require as much water as it did in the growing season. Now let's talk about pests. If you only have a couple of plants, you might be lucky and never get any pests, but the more plants you accumulate, the more likely it is that you will have to face pests at one time or another. Now, the best way to avoid pests, or to avoid it spreading to all of your plants, is checking over each plant every week or every couple of weeks. Look under the leaves particularly, because that's where they love to hide, and see if there's anything amiss. And if there is, then you can do some research as to how you can deal with the pest that you're facing. But if you're expecting to never have pests, then I hate to disabuse you, but you will. Be prepared to deal with that. It's unfortunately just part of being a plant parent. The next tip is fertilizing. You really do need to fertilize your plants. You have to remember that they're stuck in this little pot, and there's only a certain amount of soil and nutrients in that soil. Once they've used that up, then you need to supplement it with fertilizer. There are all kinds of fertilizers you can use. There are slow release pellets, there is worm castings, worm juice, there is liquid fertilizers. You can get organic, non-organic. There's all kinds of fertilizers that are available to us. If you've ever gone into a Bunnings store and looked at their fertilizer section, it just goes on and on and on. It can be a bit confusing, but if you're not sure, just buy a basic fertilizer that's for indoor plants and follow the instructions on the label. As to when to fertilize, there is some debate as to whether you should fertilize your plants in winter. Others suggest you should only fertilize in the growing season, which is usually spring and summer. I know in Melbourne though that even though it's mid-autumn, my plants are still growing, so I could definitely fertilize them at this time of year. It's always a good idea to back off on fertilizing in winter though, or to dilute it heavily. If you'd like me to do a video on fertilizers that I use and that I find really help my plants, leave a comment down below. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and if you liked it, please leave a thumbs up below. It will help my channel, which is brand new. In fact, this is my very first ever video. And if you'd like to see more content from me, you can subscribe. I'm intending to bring out a video once a week, mostly plant related, but I'm sure I'll throw something else in now and again. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, you can comment down below, or if you'd like to correct something that I got wrong in this video, or just want to talk about plants, please comment. I would love to talk to you about your plants or anything plant related. I would definitely respond. In fact, that is the whole reason I started this channel, was to connect to other people who have similar interests to me. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, take care. Bye.